I turned around, and I remember saying, "Hey, Trevor." And I remember turning around, and this sticks with me every night. I don't know if it'll ever go away. But I remember turning around, and he was just laying there, or just sitting there in the car seat, and I was like, oh my God. That's something I would never, ever want a parent to go through, ever in life, to see a child dead.
Patricia Mudd, who knowingly left her child in a car for 8 hours, is an exception. Most parents never intend to be away for more than a few minutes. But distractions occur. The phone rings, or unusually long shopping lines might stretch a few minutes into 15 or 30 or even more. In a poorly ventilated car, heat and time equal injury or death for a child. Imagine sitting in more than a ton of steel and glass, and outside, it's hot. Within minutes, the air around you is stifling. The instinct is to get out, but you can't because you're only a child. You can't unbuckle the seatbelt or unlock the car doors. As dreadful as it sounds, you are literally left to bake to death. And it's happening in parking lots and driveways all over the country. At the Las Vegas University Medical Center, Dr. Lawrence Sakoviak has seen case after case reach his pediatric emergency care center.
I think people make choices. I think people have heard this and they say, it's just not going to happen to me.
The doctor explained to us the horrible agony a child goes through.
The studies have shown that in the first 10 to 15 minutes is the most dramatic heat rise. So within 10 minutes, that car temperature can go up to 140 degrees. So you can get damage starting within 10 minutes. So it's very, very quick.
What does that child go through in terms of physical dangers that's left in a hot car?
It has to be a very terrifying position to be in. First, it's thirst, and they're crying. Then the child will start to sweat. Then they start to get very red, so they become very flushed. If you're in the back seat, confined in that very protective car seat, that air is not circulating over the body, so there can be decrease of oxygen to the brain.
Brain damage.
Exactly, brain damage.
One of the most dangerous misconceptions, which is widely practiced, is cracking the car windows to allow air to circulate in while keeping children securely locked in cars while parents step away. Studies have shown it just doesn't work. Interior temperatures rise just about as fast with windows cracked as with them closed completely.
They should actually be arrested for leaving children alone in cars.
Nothing infuriates the authorities more than finding a child left alone in a car. Police officer Mike Kirkland in Dade County, Florida, says it's happening at a growing rate.
Actually, in these cases, we have them quite frequently. I'd say once or twice a week.
How often do these occur? How often do you hear from police departments that say they've rescued a child who was locked in a car?
I've heard a number of stories from the police, also from EMTs and fire personnel. One of the big problems here in quantifying the scope of the problem is the fact that because it's not prohibited or illegal, there are no quality statistics kept, no empirical data.
And that's why Massachusetts State Representative John Locke is pushing for new, tougher legislation to prosecute people for leaving children in unattended cars.
If the police respond to one of these situations and find a kid locked in a hot car on a hot summer afternoon, they cannot arrest the parent. They are powerless.
Not so in Florida. Fines of up to $500 can be imposed for leaving a child alone in a car for more than 15 minutes. Police say Nicole Batista may have run afoul of this law when this so-called supermom was doing her thing. She's a divorced mother working as an emergency room nurse and raising 2 children on a normal, hectic schedule. She had dropped her daughter off with Grandma and drove to the supermarket with her son, 2-year-old Jeremy, in the back seat. You had a lot on your mind when you pulled up here to do your shopping.
Yeah, trying to get home, trying to get everything done, and parked the car and locked the door and ran. I ran into the store.
About 35 minutes later, Jeremy was spotted locked in the car with the windows closed. Nicole heard the urgent discovery blasted over the store intercom.
And I cocked my ear up, and they said, with a baby in the car. Everything was in the bottom of my stomach. I just dropped everything and ran.
Emergency medics rushed the child to the hospital. Jeremy's body temperature had risen to 101 degrees. Nicole explained she had only stepped away for a couple of minutes and thought that was the end of it. But Detective Kirkland didn't buy her story.
I advised her that basically, because of the fact that she had left the child in the car and for such a period of time, and that the child had suffered from heat exhaustion, that she was going to be placed under arrest.
The Department of Children and Families took custody of Nicole's children. Its director is Anita Bach. We've heard a lot of cases lately, just in this area, children left in cars alone. Why is this happening?
The pattern is pretty straightforward. Most parents go shopping or, you know, stop off in their mind to do something that's going to be relatively quick, but then they just get sidetracked and they don't return.
Supermom pled not guilty. Her case is pending in criminal court.
They are still your children, but they are under my custody.
But she was lucky. Little Jeremy was okay. Our camera was there when her children were returned. But laws are different from state to state, and the circumstances on each case may vary. In 2 cases we visited earlier, neither Patricia Westlake nor Pamela LeBlanc were jailed. Westlake was acquitted of all charges, and LeBlanc pled no contest to child neglect and is on probation. Emergencies like these need especially quick attention in hot climates like Las Vegas. This specially trained city fire rescue team got the locked car doors opened in seconds and got a newborn baby out.
There was a lady with her 7-day-old baby in the car locked. She went in, get some milk and some water.
And she had inadvertently locked her keys in the car along with her baby. A careless but potentially deadly mistake of many well-meaning parents. Is it okay to leave kids in a car locked away for just a few minutes even?
No.
Never.
Depends on the age of the child. If you have a teenager of 13, 14, and you run in to pick up something in the store and they don't want to go with you, they're listening to the radio, that's an acceptable scenario in my mind. But to leave a 1, 2, anything younger than a 10-year-old alone in a car, even for a minute, is, in my opinion, absolutely unacceptable.
But some parents disagree.
I heard from literally hundreds of people after this occurred, from far away as Hawaii to overseas, and everybody except for one person said, we have done the same thing.
Dr. Bobby Schweitzer, an anesthesiologist at Massachusetts General Hospital, left her 2 youngest children, 1-year-old Sheridan and 2-month-old Shula, in a car when she went into a Sam's Club for a quick errand.
They were both strapped into their car seats, sound asleep. I thought, oh, yeah, I should just run in and drop off these photos. So I was going to walk in, drop it in a slot, and turn around and walk back out again.
She said she returned right away, but because of anonymous eyewitness reports, police didn't believe her. Detective Jack Dougherty investigated.
Several customers had come in and reporting that there was an infant and a toddler in a Porsche locked in a car. The window was rolled down approximately 4 inches, and the car was hot to the touch.
I recreated this, and it appeared that I was gone for between 60 and 90 seconds from the time I actually locked the door until the time I was unlocking the door again.
She claims that she basically had them in sight virtually all the time. Is that possible?
Not at the Sam's Club in Natick. It's an entirely brick building with no windows.
And after tracking the doctor down through her license plate,
He read me my Miranda rights over the phone.
8 months later, the state decided that since the kids were not hurt and no witnesses came forward, the charges should be dropped. But the tangle with the law cost Dr. Schweitzer $15,000 to defend herself. And according to her husband, Dr. Stephen Small, it extracted a great emotional toll on her.
She was a wreck. I mean, this is paranoid behavior. Maybe somebody's out to get me. Maybe someone's going to report me again. And this is the stage to which they brought my wife to with this nonsense.
Do you feel your rights as a parent would be infringed upon if there's a law that says you can't leave your children in a car even for a brief period of time?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think it's a big step to make this a crime and to then turn normal citizens into spying on each other. I think that the goal here is to educate people.
Safety experts we spoke to say it's easy. When you put your children in the car, buckle them up. And when you leave, take them with you. And one other word of caution. Even when the temperature is mild outside, the heat can climb as much as 30 degrees in a car. Remember Patricia Mudd, who saw her son Trevor dead in the back seat? He died of heat exposure when it was only 69 degrees outdoors.
If just one person listens to me, one, you can't leave your children in a car.
Would you happily serve the rest of your life in prison if you could have your son back?
Yeah. Yes, I would. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I would.
The experts remind that heat isn't the only danger facing your children if you leave them alone in the car. Toddlers can manage to free themselves and head for the driver's seat to play. And think what will happen if they take off the emergency brake or figured out how to unlock the doors. Not to mention the horror of a kidnapping or a carjacking.
Coming up, President Clinton is accused of lying about sex in a lawsuit. No big deal? This woman landed in prison for doing just that, and she's not the only one. Sam Donaldson with a cautionary tale when 2020...
It's prosecuted for lying under oath in a civil suit. Certainly not if they're lying about sex. The question of what the evidence shows in the case of President Clinton is now being investigated by the House Judiciary Committee. And tonight we are passing no judgment on that, not even looking at that. But as to the overall proposition that no one really gets in trouble in such cases, you're about to meet three women who have first-hand knowledge about that. Here are their stories. This is the Mariana Federal Prison near Tallahassee, Florida, a minimum security women's camp for nonviolent offenders. Still, it is a prison. And for convicts like Diane Parker, it represents the loss of the life they knew.
Everything you work for is gone. Every materialistic item you had gotten accustomed to, it's just a matter of time. It's gone. It's gone. Bye-bye.
In Atlanta, another woman thinks about the brilliant career she once had as a winning basketball coach and the 4 months she spent incarcerated for the crime she committed that brought it all crashing down.
People don't know what it's like unless you've been there. It's no excuse. I don't have an excuse. I just did not realize what I was doing.
In California, a once prominent psychiatrist is confined in her elderly mother's home, wearing an electronic ankle bracelet that alerts authorities if she dares step out of her house without permission.
It's been very devastating for me.
These three women have never met, but they have something in common. They were all convicted of perjury because they lied under oath about sex in a civil suit. What is perjury?
Perjury is simply not telling the truth under oath. It really doesn't matter what the fact is if it's material to the issue that's before the court.
Lacey Collier is a federal judge for the Northern District of Florida. A former Navy combat fighter pilot during the Vietnam War, he's been on the federal bench for 8 years and was a state judge for nearly a decade before that.
If a person comes to court and cannot be counted on when he takes the oath, then that's very destructive of the entire system, because truth, justice, that is what we're all about in the judicial system. And it fails when the truth is not told under oath.
It was Judge Collier who last July sentenced Diane Parker to 13 months in prison for perjury. Now she wears prison khaki, separated from the daughter she loves, her day regimented, her life controlled, her freedom gone.
The only time I've ever been around or seen anything like prisons has been on television.
A far cry from that day 13 years ago when, as a basic worker in the post office at Panama City, Florida, she applied for a promotion.
And he says, "You think you can do it?" And I said, "I can do anything I want to. I know I can."
Parker got her promotion. She ended up supervising up to 60 postal workers a day. One of them was Kevin Collins. Collins says Parker kept after him to have sex with her.
I finally gave in to her, and we went out of town together.
Parker denies to this day she ever had a sexual relationship with Collins. But in 1992, Collins sued the Postal Service, charging, among other things, sexual harassment by his supervisor, Diane Parker. Parker had to give a deposition in the civil suit. Were you sworn under that deposition?
Yes, I was.
Did you understand what taking the oath meant?
Yes, I did.
So when you raised your right hand, you knew exactly...
I knew that I was supposed to be telling them the truth. And I also knew in my mind that I didn't want to be a part of this, and I was just hoping it would just, like, breeze away. But it doesn't happen like that.
No, it didn't happen like that. Collins testified as part of his effort to show they had had a sexual relationship that he and Parker had driven from Panama City together to Albany, Georgia, where Collins said Parker took him to the home of one of her friends. Now it was time for Parker to give her deposition under oath. The transcript is clear and damning. And then the question was, did you and Kevin ever take a trip out to Albany? You remember your answer?
No.
That's right. That's what your answer. You said no. So, okay, says the person questioning you. And you have no recollection of taking Mr. Collins up there. And your answer was no. But that was a lie.
That was a lie.
And you knew it.
I knew it.
Collins was able to describe in detail the inside of Parker's friend's home in Albany. And that, along with other evidence, convinced the jury in his civil suit that he, not Parker, was telling the truth. Collins won his suit. The Postal Service paid him $10,000. And Parker was indicted for and convicted of perjury. Judge Collier, following the uniform sentencing guidelines, gave her 13 months in prison.
How do I feel about being here? Completely devastated. It's sad. I don't want to cry. God, I don't want to cry. The things you get accustomed to. They're things I'm accustomed to. I miss my daughter. I miss her smile. The American dream was to work to buy a house. I had a gorgeous one. I got to tell you, it was gorgeous.
The house is gone now, sold to satisfy bankruptcy creditors. Diane Parker's American dream is gone. When they asked you that question, if you'd only said yes instead of no.
You know what? If I had to go back and do it again, I know how to go back and say yes now.
Diane Parker is not alone in having said no when she should have said yes. Pam Parsons did the same thing.
I was born in a small southern Utah town. Grew up always loving basketball.
Pam Parsons was a natural. She played some in school, but in her early 20s went into coaching, became successful, and ended up at the University of South Carolina.
So I decided I could build another national power, and it happened.
It happened.
It happened.
South Carolina began winning big.
My goodness, we're going to the Final Four.
But something else happened. People began whispering. Ugly rumors began circulating. In late 1981, Parsons resigned quietly, hoping the press wouldn't pick up on the rumors. But the press did. It was this magazine, Sports Illustrated.
Yes.
The article said what forced Parsons from her job was the stunning charge that she had sexual relations with a player on the girls' basketball team. When you read this article, what did you think?
I couldn't think. I couldn't speak. When I felt like I'd had a peeping Tom in my life, I didn't feel that voyeurism related to my private life was the way life was meant to be lived. I felt the focus was completely unfair.
Egged on by her parents who couldn't believe the story, Parsons filed a civil suit against Time Incorporated, publisher of Sports Illustrated, asking for $75 million. She gave a deposition under oath in which she denied that she and the player in question had had a sexual relationship. The problem was, she was lying.
Oh, yes. I was ripped apart. And I couldn't stop lying about it because I had never accepted that part of myself, let alone have it public. So I didn't know what I was doing.
A bartender came forward to say Parsons and the player, a 17-year-old, had often come to his place where he testified they had danced close, kissed, and bragged that they were lovers. The jury found in favor of Time Incorporated. Then you were prosecuted for perjury.
Absolutely.
What happened? What did the judge do?
He sent me to jail.
Yes, in 1985, Parsons and her lover spent 4 months in a minimum security prison.
It's not painful to go to jail. It's painful to lie.
Is there a lesson in your story for people when it comes just to the very basic premise of taking an oath to tell the truth in a legal proceeding and then not doing it?
Oh, yes. None of us are above the law.
Psychiatrist Barbara Battolino is another example of that. In 1991, working at a veterans hospital in Idaho, she treated Army veteran Ed Arthur.
It was at that point that Mr. Arthur propositioned me, and unfortunately, I responded.
When the story got out, Arthur sued her and the federal government, charging sexual harassment and medical malpractice. She testified under oath. As a result of what she said, she has lost her job, her medical license, and constrained by a court-ordered ankle bracelet, her freedom.
One of the attorneys asked me, did anything of a sexual nature occur in your office in the VA on, I think, June 27th, 1991? And I said, no, sir. And that was the lie.
I think it's a growing problem.
Federal District Judge Lacey Collier says he's disturbed when he sees people on television argue that it's no big deal to lie in a civil suit, or that no one gets prosecuted for perjury in such cases.
And so I would hate to think that I would have to sentence someone who came before me, and their defense was that I heard such and such a professor or Sam Donaldson say that nobody ever got prosecuted for this. And then why are you giving me a year in jail, which is what the guidelines require? That's troubling to me just as a judge.
Well, Judge, do you believe that very famous saying that we want equal justice under the law?
It's fundamental.
Ms. Parker, a lot of people today are saying that people don't get sent to jail for lying about sex in a civil suit.
People get sent to jail for lying. It all depends on the people. There is a difference between black and white. There's a difference how we are sentenced in regards to someone else.
So you don't think there is equal justice?
There is not equal, no. There's no equal justice here. There's not.
Should there be?
There should be, but there's not. I can't change that. And I don't think by talking with you that you can change that. That's just something we'll have to face.
I know it wasn't your story, but did any of them compare themselves to President Clinton?
Well, we didn't ask any of the women about the president, but Diane Parker did volunteer that she thinks Mr. Clinton should be let alone.
But the message is sometimes perjury is prosecuted.
Tonight, there were at least 115 people in federal prison solely because of a perjury prosecution. So while some people don't have to pay the price, Diane, as we've seen tonight, some people do. We'll be right back.
Next, the joy of pigs. People say they make great pets. But wait till you see how some local bureaucrats have gotten their snouts all bent out of shape over her pets. John Stossel with this week's Give Me a Break, when 2020 Wednesday continues.
Life fact number 47. You're never going to run out of things to clean. And cleaning something over again is a real pain. But even that baked-on petrified stuff is no match for the new Whirlpool dishwasher, the only one with Power Scour. It's the best at scouring. And with a job that well done, you'll have time for fun. Good clean fun, that is. Whirlpool. A job well done.
Forget these. Remember this. Smile. Eat. Make a mess. Make a memory. Escape to Red Lobster.
The luxurious Nissan Maxima has one of the 10 best engines in America. Something which may come in handy, say, if you're ever late for a flight.
Now lease a Maxima GXC for just $299 a month for 39 months with $18.99 initial payment.
Now that the Bunny has the new advanced battery, it's a whole new ballgame. We have to be prepared for just about anything. Ain't that right, boys?
New Energizer Advanced formula. No battery lasts longer.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again.
Friday, my interview with Mariah Carey. She tells me things about her life and loves you've never heard before.
Plus, can chemicals in the toys your babies chew hurt them?
Every time she's playing with the toy, she's putting it in her mouth.
The toy industry says they're safe, but some countries want to ban them. A must-watch 2020 Friday.
From the producer of Armageddon at The Rock, his first television event, Max Q, Thursday, November 19th, only on ABC.
This could be the diet you've been waiting for. How would you like to eat until you're full and still lose weight? There might be a way. But first, speaking of big eaters, what's wrong with having a couple of porkers running around the house? This week's Give Me a Break, when 2020 Wednesday continues. After this, from our ABC stations.
Tonight on Channel 2 News at 11.
Should you spy on your babysitter? Wait until you see what undercover cameras caught on tape. Good evening, I'm John Marler.
I'm Kathy Marshall. Also tonight, the Northwest mobilizes to send relief to Central America, but relief is caught up in red tape.
And tough talk from the White House about Iraq tonight on Channel 2 News at 11.
Now at Binions, you can buy one pair and get one free, or get 50% off frames. Plus, your eye exam is free. Just bring in your receipt from any optometrist, and we'll pay for your exam. Binions. See better, look better.
Arby's treats me like a star. With the $5 value roundup, I get to choose 3 beef and cheddars, or 4 regular roast beefs, or 5 barbecues for $5.
Log on to KATU.com and break through to local information. With this city search button, you'll discover fun places for your son's 10th birthday, lawn and garden stores, and family camping near the coast. Log on to KATU.com and experience the power of information.
Portland's new home for new country. JJ 99.5.
We are the Blues, and we don't lose. We got the ride.
Looking for a bit more sophistication? Consider the Nissan Pathfinder LE. With a premium Bose audio system, a spacious, luxurious cabin, and leather-appointed seats, the Nissan Pathfinder could possibly be the most civilized SUV of them all.
Jimmy Smith. Tell me why. And Steel. And a clue from Blue. Next, Rosie. Tomorrow at 4.
Dr. Joy Brown's cure for the romance blues tomorrow at 9.
2020 Wednesday continues. Now, Diane Sawyer.
We're always hearing that pigs are great pets, easy to live with, affectionate, smart. Just the other day, there was a story about a pig who saved the life of a woman who had a heart attack by going outside, lying down in the street, and bringing back help. But it turns out that one person's piggy pal is another person's hog. John Stossel tells us about a porcine fight to the finish.
We love our pets. Dogs and cats are, of course, the most popular, but increasingly people are getting attached to other animals. Yes. But before you get too fond of your alternative pet, better hope your local politicians don't plan to stick their snouts into your business. That's what's happening to Dawn Kuznier of Shelton, Connecticut. For Mother's Day a few years ago, Dawn's daughter bought her a pot-bellied pig. Frankie, they named her. She later got Nancy, and they've been her house pets ever since. She says they're as much a part of her family as her dogs.
They greet me at the door, wagging their tails. When I'm home, they're lying at my feet all the time. They're sensitive animals, affectionate animals. I mean, I could go on forever about the joys of a pig.
Today, more than 100,000 Americans like pot-bellied pigs enough that they keep them at home as pets. They're much smaller than the hogs farmers raise, and they don't smell bad. Really.
Pigs get a bad rap. They're very clean animals.
Now, pot-bellied pigs often weigh 150 pounds. I wouldn't want one of these in my house. But just because some of us don't like pot-bellied pigs, does that mean that Kuznier shouldn't be allowed to keep hers? That's right, said the zoning board in Shelton, which has ruled that Kuznier's pigs are livestock and therefore illegal if kept on a property as small as hers. The politician sent a health department inspector to her house 20 times to check on alleged pigsty conditions. The inspector kept looking, making surprise inspections. But even after 20 inspections, he never found much to complain about. And pigs are far less of a threat to a neighborhood than dogs that bark all night or bite.
I don't have pigs that bite neighbors. I don't have pigs that chase after cars or chase after little kids. My pets are very clean animals that live in my house with me as part of my family.
Come on, girls. Come on, let's go out.
Dawn's now fighting the town in court. So far, that's cost her $14,000 in legal fees. No one on the zoning board would agree to be interviewed about this. It's not just happening here. Regularly, somewhere in America, some politician decides pot-bellied pigs must not be kept at home. In Vista, California, the city council decided this pet pig had to go. Neighborhood kids demonstrated on the pig's behalf. After that, the politicians used some common sense and just changed the law. But not in Connecticut. Here, the authorities won't budge. Dawn's been ordered to pay a fine of $40 a day until the pigs are gone.
I own my property. I've lived here 20 years. I think I should be allowed to have in my home what I want to have.
And why doesn't she have that right? Zoning laws were created to protect you from someone who might want to build an airport next to your house or a pig farm. But increasingly, they're being used by local fuss budgets to outlaw anything different, anything they wouldn't do. Do we need local bureaucrats telling us what kind of pets we can have? Give me a break.
Dawn Kuznier is appealing the contempt of court ruling against her. The case should be heard in the next month or so.
Coming up next, how would you like to stuff yourself with lots of food and still lose weight? Arnold Diaz with an unbelievable new diet that scientists say really works. When 2020 Wednesday...
And to catch the mouse, so bikini time.
We all want to lose the weight quickly, and so how many times have we turned to the latest diet books for the answer? The new cabbage soup diet is the one 2020 chose for Rebecca. She'd volunteered to help us try out some popular diets. The new cabbage soup diet limits you to certain foods each day. Here it's day 4, and all she's allowed are bananas, skim milk, yogurt, and that ever-present...
Cabbage soup all the time. Whenever you're hungry, cabbage soup.
It wasn't any easier for homemaker Maria Atienza, who's watched her weight creep up over the years. We asked Maria to try the STAR diet, authored by the self-styled diet queen to the stars, Nikki Haskell.
It's a lifestyle. It's not a fad diet.
The STAR diet seemed more like a starvation diet to Maria and to nutritionist Kathy Nonis, who we asked to review the diet.
What do you think about the STAR diet?
Well, it's too low in calories. It's 700, 800 calories. It has very little food. As a matter of fact, this is a day 1 breakfast. It's 6 ounces of orange juice and a rye crisp.
That's it?
That's it. I hope you're not hungry.
Maria stuck to the STAR diet's 1,000 calories or less regimen all week, chopping, weighing, measuring, eating meals that left her hungry.
Starving. I couldn't, you know what, I was desperate. I was suffering.
But isn't it a great feeling when after a week of the hunger and hassle of a crash diet, you step on the scale and see it was all worthwhile?
146 and a half. Oh, great in 1 week.
She'd lost 5 pounds.
I think I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep going on with this diet.
Rebecca lost 4 pounds in a week.
Take a look. See that? I can feel my hip bones. For so long, I couldn't feel my hip bones, and now it's just totally smooth, totally flat.
But how many times do people on that weight loss high come quickly crashing back to earth? Obesity specialist Dr. Louis Aroni has seen it happen again and again.
As soon as you start eating more than you need, which is the day after you finish one of these diets, your weight's going to go right back up again.
And sure enough, when we weighed them 5 months later, Rebecca's 4 pounds had slipped back on.
I had a feeling I was going to gain it back.
And Maria gained back all the weight plus 6 pounds.
156 3/4 pounds? No, it can't be. You're lying to me.
The reason people can't stick with most diets is they severely limit the types or amounts of food you can eat. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to eat lots of food and still lose weight? Well, there is, according to some nutritionists. Recent studies into the calorie density of foods have given rise to what's being called the feel-full diet, high-volume eating large.
You want big portion for not so many calories.
Don't eat less, eat more, says Barbara Rolls, professor of nutrition at Penn State University, who showed us how you can do that, and she claims still lose weight. She began by comparing two 400-calorie breakfasts. Mine consisted of a cup of coffee, a glass of milk, and 3/4 of a cinnamon bun, a high-calorie density food, meaning it has lots of calories per ounce. But look what you could have on the Feel Full diet for the same 400 calories.
You see this and you, wow, that's a really big breakfast.
Scientific studies show that it's not the number of calories you eat that makes you feel satisfied. It's the weight and the volume of food.
A number of studies have shown that when people are allowed to serve themselves portions of foods, they choose a very constant weight of food over a day.
The trick, she says, is to eat low-calorie density foods, such as cereal, high in fiber, and fruit, high in water content, that fill you up. She used the secret weapon of the Feel Full diet.
When you have soup as a first course, in a number of studies it's been shown that you eat less over the rest of the meal.
The power of soup, she says, was demonstrated by a study in which initially people were given a first course of chicken and rice casserole, 250 calories, then allowed to eat as much lunch as they wanted. The next time they were given the same casserole plus a 10-ounce glass of water. The third time, the casserole and water were mixed together to make a soup. Although all three first courses contained the same number of calories, the study found after people ate the soup,
they ate less at lunch right after.
Just by combining the water and the casserole.
So putting the water into the food was critical, not just drinking the water with the meal.
The secret, she said, is that the big cup of soup appears as if it's more food, and so it's more satisfying. Speaking of more food, check out the difference in our 520-calorie dinners. My bowl of pasta seemed puny compared to the professor's. Instead of Alfredo sauce, which is packed with calories, she used a little olive oil and lots of veggies, which are high in water content. And because she has more food, it will take more time to eat her meal. And time spent eating, she says, is one of many factors that go into making us feel satisfied.
I like to think of the stomach starting with the eyes and the brain, and then you've got your mouth, and it's going to feel more satisfied with more chewing and more swallowing, and then your stomach.
Okay.
So it's a whole process of satisfying all of these different senses.
The Feel Full diet, she says, allows for a wide variety of foods. These are some other sample meals. Overall, they average 15% protein, 25% fat, and 60% carbohydrates. And unlike other diets, you're encouraged to eat starchy carbohydrates like corn and potatoes.
What's good about potatoes?
Well, again, they have a high water content. If you have potato with a low-fat topping, then you can eat a lot of potato and feel very satisfied.
Ready for dessert? There's even room for a 200-calorie dessert or snack in Professor Roll's plan. But believe it or not, pretzels are a much worse choice, says the professor, than this bowl of yogurt. While they're both low in fat,
pretzels, which a lot of people eat in their diets, have no water content. So it's very easy to overeat pretzels because you pack a lot of calories into a small volume of food.
That's not going to fill up your stomach quickly.
Right.
Instead of a slice of pound cake, you could have 2 pieces of angel food cake. But clearly, there may be times when the high-volume food choice just doesn't do it for you.
You get an apple and a half.
For your slice of apple pie. But you may want that more than this. But again, don't eat this much. Just eat that little sliver.
And if you just have to have a high-calorie food, dessert, she says, is a better choice than an appetizer.
Do it at the end of the meal after you've had all of this first. That'll help to control how much you eat.
Okay.
You're already stuffed.
Add up the calories from the large volume breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack, and it comes to just 1,600 calories. Low enough, says Professor Rolls, for the average person to lose 1 to 1.5 pounds a week. It should keep you full, but will it keep you satisfied?
We've shown in several studies that if people eat the same weight or volume of food with foods with fewer calories in a given weight, they feel just as satisfied as with the higher calorie content.
So they're really going for the bulk.
They're going for the bulk.
Professor Rolls believes the Feel Full diet is a better alternative to most of the quick weight loss diets on the market. Those diets can work. One volunteer we put on the 5-day miracle diet and another who followed the FAX diet lost weight and kept it off. But both say they did it by changing their eating habits. The diets, they say, were too difficult to stick with. Rolls says while there have been no long-term studies, she believes the Feel Full diet will be easier for people to follow.
In this kind of eating plan, you can eat anything you like, but some things you have to eat in more moderation than others.
If nothing else, this diet is bound to get some people's attention just because of its unique advice to go ahead and eat. Eat large. It's okay to feel full.
The Feel Full diet is not yet in book form, but you can find a 7-day meal plan on our website at abcnews.com. We'll be right back.
American troops head to the Gulf for a possible showdown with Iraq. Good evening, I'm Kathy Marshall.
And I'm John Marler. Also tonight, should you use a camera to watch those who watch your children?
And a biting problem for relief workers in Central America.
Every tree needs the proper nutrients to grow. The same thing applies to the growth of this tree. If you're concerned your child isn't getting enough nutrition, ask your doctor about Pediasure. It provides complete, balanced nutrition for kids. Pediasure.
Been making my chunky chicken pot pie. It's back at KFC. Flaky crust, chunks of chicken, loads of veggies, just $3.99 with a drink. Now that's some meal. So come on in and bring your appetite.
Coming up Friday on 2020, superstar Mariah Carey. The singing sensation who talks for the first time about her stormy marriage to Sony Music president and now ex-husband Tommy Mottola, who, by the way, is still her boss. You've heard all the rumors. Now she tells Barbara Walters the real story. 2020 Friday at 10, 9 Central.
And on 2020 Sunday, Connie Chung goes face-to-face with a convicted killer on the run from the law. The first U.S. interview with notorious fugitive Ira Einhorn. His girlfriend's body